Your digital twin with the air molecules that are nearby and can be changed by their states in order to affect something called wake-up radio. Imagine a receiver in a very low power mode that would, in a way, wake up just in time for the data to be received. This is what they have designed the biosensors that are inside of our bodies to do.
We're going to look at wake-up radio. And we're going to start by looking at this image. You can see here the terahertz radio short range, omnidirectional, or they use the mechanical ultrasound with the LoRa. This is your digital twin, which is made up of air molecules from outside of the body with your millimeter wave terahertz. Now here are your software-defined metamaterials. Software-defined metamaterials are those tiny, tiny little molecules that can be aggregated, organized, rearranged to make little anchors on the outside of your skin. This is an example of a smart textile. And it has localization anchors with a terahertz radio. Uses the mechanism of ultrasound somatics, the power of sound, wake-up radio, ultrasound. It's the gateway between controller, that sync, and the nanonodes. Now here you have network controller, wherever that sync is. The network controller has localization of nanonodes, wake-up radio, and location-based addressing and routing. And finally, you have your nanonodes. The nanonodes, which are passively flowing in the bloodstream, energy harvesting entities, get woken up and localized for things like targeted drug delivery. And the reason they are passively flowing through the bloodstream is because they are using your heartbeat and your own red blood cells to move themselves along for energy and power. The software-defined metamaterials that anchor themselves on the outside of your skin magnetize to the little anchors passively flowing in the bloodstream within. Precision AI healthcare and wireless drugging. That's the direction this is headed. That's why the FDA approved the DigiTwin so that they could just use the wireless to get the electrical signal in. And the nanonodes, nanobots, they redistribute themselves based on wake-up radio and the localization of themselves where they're supposed to go or not go. This is why being a node on the World Wide Web without anyone saying anything about it is so dangerous. Well, look at this. It's got a better image. So we have an energy harvesting nanonode to wake them up and get them moving. Now, they are using your heartbeat and your red blood cells for themselves, for their own communications. The energy harvesting nanonodes that land on the outside of you to ultrasound-based wake-up radio. So we only want to wake up certain nodes. Terahertz radio for localization and communication. Energy harvesting, memory, computation. Basically, we have these energy harvesting nanonodes if we need them. Then, we got software-defined metamaterials based body area network node. The software-defined metamaterials, it could be the smart dust. It could be actual wireless sensor networks that are supposed to interface with your body. As you can see here, they just wake up that node with the smart dust on the outside of you, for example, or a signal coming from maybe outside of your house or another body. These are optogenetic networks. Now, let's go back here. This is how the system is built. So you wake up the radio using ultrasound mechanized on the skin, control of the ultrasound waves, and then start using that terahertz ability with a different surfacing of the cells, with the nanocells, whatever they are surfaced with, to do electro or biochemically or optogenetically a transduced electrical change in the body. Software-defined metamaterials to nanonodes, and then it wakes up the area of nanonodes that it wants to perform the corona effect on cells. Now, let's go back here. Step 1. Nanonodes locations not known. Nanonodes sleeping. Step 2. Then in the direct range of those anchors, those wearable wireless air molecules anchoring to your skin, awoken using the ultrasound wake-up radio. Step 3. 2A, TOF, is estimated for all awakened nanonodes, eventually resulting in their location at the network controller level. So basically, as we saw in the images, you see the software-defined metamaterials that are on the outside anchor themselves to your skin and attach themselves to the nanonodes that are passively flowing inside your bloodstream. So it's like two magnets like this, and your skin is in the middle. And that's how they magnetize to one another. Now, what that means, to those of you who don't understand, that they are playing you like a sim. We're going to go back to this image. The nanonodes have to be able to figure out where to go inside the body, reorganize themselves, and then do what they are told. So that's why they wake up one of these controllers instead of all of them. That is also for energy conservation. They do not want the body to overheat. Here is an example of one of the easiest ones to understand. Your controller nodes are in blue. There is less of them. Each one is numerically attached to smaller nodes that has a different job. You have your sensor nodes that are drifting around half asleep. So for example, the wake-up radio nodes land and they activate, say number 1. So now you're going to wake up 6, 7, and 8. Pull, P-O-L-L, the data, and then send the data to the sync. The sync is what sends a signal out of the body, either through a bootstrapping device or something else. Regardless, it's sending the data out of the body wirelessly. If you've been following along, you should remember this article. Passive hardware consideration for medical body area network transceivers. And we're going to scroll down to this image, which we've looked at before. So the intra-body layer 1 of cybersecurity, that is where it's going. Then bootstrap from the sync to one of these devices in order to get itself out. Yeah, and then the blue image, so yeah, like we said, they collect all that data and then they send it to your sync node, and then from the sync node, it goes through a bootstrapping device or however they want to get it out, the wireless sensor networks. There's so many ways for them to get the information out, and it gets sent to the end user, and as we did in part 1, the end user is always a doctor, a physician, a database. Mm-hmm. So it's always something sketchy. So back to remember what I said the first time around, there is no way that these doctors and these people in the medical field do not know what they're doing. There might be the ones, like I said, the nurses probably are a little confused, but the ones who have degrees and work these jobs, there's no way that they are not aware of this. Mm-hmm. They're just literally lying to us.
Yeah, and a good point mentioned was how this technology has been out for a while. And if they wanted to heal us and cure us, they could. But obviously, they're choosing to make us sick. Yeah.
So it's like, and if you guys actually pay attention, since 2011, we have more sick people. Mm-hmm. It's actually gone downhill. People have more problems, more illnesses, and it's more autoimmune disorders. Like literally, people's immune systems are giving up on them.
So do you think that our food is really affecting it, or are they just and is making us sick when they want?
I think that they filled the food with metamaterials, with augmented molecules, and so I mean, in a way, it is affecting us. Like even if
they have to get it inside our body for the magnet.
Exactly, and they already did. They got it already inside of
even
all of
through
us.
The air.
Yes. So that's kind of how they manipulate the whole situation. Even if you go to the store and you buy organic, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Organic doesn't mean it's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's real. It just means it's a little less augmented, but it's still augmented, and it has molecules in there. Like I said, the metamaterials that we are literally ingesting, and then once they're in our body, we cannot get them out. It's not something you can cleanse because it attaches to your tissue and becomes your tissue. So common sense, you're not going to cleanse your tissues out. You can't. Like, it's not even, you're going to die if you start trying to cleanse all your tissues out, right? So, and I mean, it does play a part, food, water, air, but what are you going to stop breathing, stop eating? That's why I said we're already so far along. Maybe if this was like 1,000 years ago or 500 years ago, we could have a different type of discussion and be like, don't take this, don't do that, avoid this.
but we're so far along that I'm just like, yeah, now the best thing I can just do is just help people understand why they're suffering the way they're suffering.
Most people have no idea that they are this deep in our bodies with this much math, specialized routing protocols, bioelectric magnetic algorithms, little air molecules that are made only for you and your blood and tissue. They are telling everyone that they are going to fix all these diseases and problems, but they have had this capability full on the way they have it now, according to the cybersecurity documentation. They have had this bare minimum since 2011. So if they were going to help everybody, don't you think they would have done it by now? Because the research that we see here throughout is based on you and certain body, certain genetic tissue that you are around. Now you've got it sold to everyone that you got them so sick and they running right to you as they will be able to sit in their house and get wireless healthcare. But you didn't bother to tell them that you are the ones that made them sick in the first place by destroying their electrical and biochemical homeostasis, logging in and out constantly since 2012. We really need to educate people on this, how it functions and how we got here. The longer you wait, the worse it's going to get. There are hybrids out in the world, and they are not what you're thinking. You're going to have to wrap your head around the fact that the world has definitely changed, because when they filled everybody with these different layers of what are called metamaterials for biosensors and sensing the atmosphere, food, and all these different remote healthcare testing things that changed our ecology, our fungus, our mycelium networks, and they are watching all of that.